Okay, here I have another boombox. This one's a silver, as in the brand silver, and I don't know where the model number is. It's an SR3020. The usual Shira Suna Electric Corp Japan, but probably not made in Japan. But I don't think it tells you where it is made, does it? I completely missed it last time. Battery silver, production code and serial number in there. Nothing to say the year, but I'm guessing late 80s. I might need to leave that out anyway, won't I? No screws in there. Got detachable speakers, actually got a phono/CD input. Don't see phono on them very often, so maybe that automatically selects, or is it another switch somewhere? This has got wide stereo mode like the little sharp one. Meter to show tuning, battery off or level. Where is the meter? Is that oh, of course we've got a dual LED level meter there, so it's finally got one with a LED level meter on it. Only 5 per side, but still. I've got normal chrome metal. Oh yeah, we can actually switch between normal chrome metal. I selected one, so both decks. One's normal or chrome and metal, one's normal chrome or metal properly switched. High speed dubbing, RIS 1 or 2. No idea what that is. Dolby noise reduction on and off. And that button doesn't seem to sit there quite right. I wonder what mix this one's got to be. Generics again. And I think it's the same as the AOL with the metal bit slanting up rather than the little plastic bit that goes up and down. Heads are quite dirty in this one. I think this is meant to be working. I get a feeling I did give this one a quick test run and I think it was actually working. But no doubt to do with, well, obviously a clean and no doubt a bit of a service. Check this cord, looks alright. It's only a single insulated one. It seems to be like a bit dirty, but otherwise like new. So we've got power button. Volume's a bit iffy. So got written there, L2A speaker. It's actually got a proper tweeter in it, like only a little paper cone thing of course, but still at least it's an actual tweeter, not a piezo. Volume and balance are both a bit noisy. Quite an aggressive graphic equalizer. Got an AM. Yeah, we've got a channel dropping out a bit with the volume.
What I love about Rachel is that she's so well read. You know, I thought I knew a lot about Australian and Victorian history, Aboriginal history.
Philip says another great benefit of the Barrett is that it enables when it says just my luck, as you say, that's a little ambiguous. Another one is he has the luck.
Got a tape. Got take up. Guess we should check the pause. Check every function works. And the only one left is record. Whoops. Ooh, dearie me. I think we've got a dirty record switch. This one's probably the one now wins for best noise made by one. Bit of motorboating type stuff. Oh. Now we're doing it without the record going, or the tape deck at all, I think. and it stopped. Very weird. There's something dicky there. Not surprising. Anything people tell you works never does completely work. But at least most of it's running. Get these speakers off. But that's the problem with most places. They'll sell you something that's working and it won't be. But you kind of got to grab these things when you see them. I quite like this box. It's a nice big one. It is a bit faded in the front by the look of it. The doors are a bit, I'm not sure they're yellowed, but they've gone a bit white. Got some nice cobwebs coming out the back. I think the next screw, I don't think there was one under the battery cover. So I think it's got a weird little one down the bottom here, which is certainly a bit different. Oh yeah, that's coming apart. Very much set up like that AOL one by the look of it. These are a different looking mech though. They got a different, that central part's different, so maybe they aren't the same, but they must be similar, I would think. And we can disconnect the power there. Great big power plug and thick wires, good to see for a change. And we've got again quite a large heatsink. So decent amplifier, looks like a TA something, is it? 7282 AP. I can't actually see the TA bit of it, but I assume it is. Another couple of little regulator transistors. Not a lot of electronics in this one, admittedly. It's mostly just a bit of radio. And then we've got a graphic equalizer board. Got a Dolby chip, which is a TA7719 right there. And there's our record play switch. Not a fan of these little fiddly volume controls and stuff. Often they don't come that good when you fix them. Now a big problem with this I'm seeing already is how do we, the radio dial cord comes up around here. Do you have to take the whole front bit off? But even then, can you get the equalizer board out, or am I just going to have to go through the front and hope for the best? You can't really see much of the pots. Yeah, that's not a very good design as far as working on it goes. Oh, I see. Well, there's actually a double board. I didn't even notice. That's all radio, an amp, and that's the tape deck. So that's why it looks like this circuit board. Even though I looked at that chip underneath, I didn't realise I wasn't looking at the same circuit board because they got the same footprint. Interesting design. And we've got another little one down here with some sort of IC on it and headphone socket. Now what do we do with this thing? It looks like you can take a sub chassis off, I think, and get the whole thing, but is it going to get me, well, it might get me to the point I can get to those pots. I don't think I've got much choice. Just don't undo the screws that hold the pulleys for the radio dial, I guess. Yeah, that's starting to come up a bit. And it looks like it's got connectors everywhere, so that's a good design. We can hopefully unplug the boards from the cassette mix. Not sure I even need to. If I can just get a bit of access behind this, I don't really need to go any further than that. Here we go. Oh yeah, I can see into the pots, excellent. I've got some quite large LEDs here. I was expecting a couple of square, weird shaped square ones, a couple more there, and the rectangular ones. And not just your normal 2x5s, they're quite a bit bigger. So that's a bit different. Oh, actually, for once we've got Tanashin written on the actual mechanism. So I can finally see what an actual definite Tanashin is, because this has got a label on it. It says 6851, I think, and then 21SW299, EG510KD9B, so they're a bit earlier, 9 volts, 1600, 3200, so that's great. We can actually see one, whether some of these decks people say are Tanashin are or aren't, because I'm not sure this is the diagonal. This has got a lot of gears in there. I don't think this is the same as those others. Doesn't mean those others aren't also Tanashins, of course. Someone needs to document all the different ones, I think. And we've got a heap of dust and muck in there, so that can go. But we'll pull those mechs out for sure and have a look. They want a bit of a service anyway, no doubt. I'm sure most of the old service manuals would have said something about, when in their parts list, I'm sure they used to say like it's a certain type of manufacturer who made the deck, at least in some of them, where you could order a replacement deck. I think most of them, even if you couldn't actually order it, would at least give you something about the deck in there and say something about who made it. That's my memory of it. I might have only been some manufacturers or whatever, but unfortunately, of course, back then I had no interest in actually knowing who made the decks and mech types and stuff, so I didn't take any notice, and it'd be too late now to get a copy of them anyway. But it would be interesting to look at some old cassette player manuals and see if they actually tell you who made the decks, and of course as long as you've got the cassette player as well, so you can cross-reference it to that. That came off. Then we could actually definitely give some sort of manufacturer's name to some of this stuff. Or there may be catalogues, maybe the companies had some sort of catalogues they gave out to manufacturers or something. All the decks they made at the time. That would be a very interesting thing to take a look at. Because unfortunately most of this stuff there's no documentation of it. It's all before the internet, and these companies, if they even exist anymore, never kept any records and stuff. Maybe if you're lucky some employee took notice, but I mean, back in those days it's just business. You just do what you do to make money, and when you finish doing it you chuck everything away and everyone gets a new job and does something else, and all record of what happened is just gone. That's sort of how it was in the 80s and 90s a lot of the time. And you know, at least now there's often some remnants on the internet or something, or maybe people care about it more, but at least there's some fans of different products and stuff that do actually keep a record of these things. Because yeah, back in the day we really didn't keep a record of anything, and there was, you know, no scanners necessarily and no internet to upload it to, so what was the point? You're not going to just store every bit of paperwork and stuff, and of course no digital cameras and stuff to take easy photos of things, so you weren't particularly snap happy about just taking photos of every random thing like you can be today. So it is kind of a shame a lot of the history of this is probably lost forever. And you know, some of the people that would have worked in these places back in the 80s and stuff would be long gone now. They were probably, you know, middle-aged back then, and they may well be dead by now, unfortunately, so a bit of this history's been lost, I think. But I'm kind of surprised myself that people have started taking an interest in it again, because who knew? Let's get this stuff cleaned up a bit. Switch cleaner, I guess we might as well do everything here. Let's start by giving them a really good clean. Hopefully they're reasonable quality slider pots. And these, of course, are your double knobs that I guess technically they do 2 channels, so they're technically a double pot. Why not put double knobs on the front to make it look like it's got more bands so it's equaliser than it has? This tube keeps clogging up. I'll have to get into JCar and get some more contact cleaner, I think, because this one's going a bit weird. But, you know, that's probably 30 or more years old now. That's the scary thing about it. I don't think they put any dates on that, but yeah, I'd hate to think how old that contact cleaner is. 93.43. God, it wouldn't be 93, I hope. Not impossible. It does last a long time. I honestly wouldn't know when I bought that. I mean, it could be 1993, to be honest. That is scary stuff, but it's possible. I did have a can of RF brand or something before that, I think, which would have come from Dick Smith or somewhere. Now, do I need to clean all these switches? It probably wouldn't hurt to do some of them, if not all of them, while we're here. Don't think that one fired properly. There we go. This can's getting a bit iffy. What are you doing? There we go. Quite a bit still in there. It's getting lower now, doing all these boom boxes and stuff. They certainly gobble up contact cleaner. Okay, that has got that done. Do I need to clean anything? Guess I can probably give that front panel a quick clean while the knobs are out of the way, and probably while that tuning knob's out of the way, even if I don't do everything. And yeah, the doors are definitely a bit milky white, which I don't think is going to come off, and I think, yeah, the tuning dial's the same. I think they should clean up pretty good besides that. It's always a shame when the sun's got to the plastics. Not sure if that sort of stuff can be retro brighted good again, possibly. Okay, that should do for now with that. Let's get that screwed back in. I don't think I need to do anything else. Possible there's dry. Oh, I'll tell you one thing I need to do is record playback switch. That might stop our motorboating issues. Yeah, it's good to see it all come out everywhere. That's the sign you got it all. Okey-dokey. Oh, I see a bridge rectifier in the back there. I do, I think. Oh yeah, the little the brown 3-pinner and the black 3-pin little weird rectangular ones. So this one's probably a little bit earlier, I think. Going by the motors in it and stuff, it's earlier than that AOA, I think, even though it looks kind of like the same era on the outside. It is so difficult to put a year on these things just looking at them. Even though the styles generally fit. This has got the bigger sort of motors. I think a lot of the later dual speed ones had separate pots on boards and stuff. I'm pretty sure that AOA one did. This has got the pots inside it by the look of it, or at least one pot inside it. To do the speed, so these mechs definitely look older. They're not the... Pretty sure they're not either of the later two generic types, the earlier of which the AOA used. I think it's an earlier one, but it's hard to know with those whether they were two separate eras or whether they were used at the same time, whether they came from the same company or different companies. There's just so many unknowns. I don't like to make assumptions on things. That doesn't. Is that, I was going to say they're not sticking through right. So you telling me that's screwed down without? That's a bit weird. Oh, the board must have pushed up a bit, did it? Yeah, that's why I've been a bit careful. You never tighten them up too tight until you know. Yeah, that's kind of loose. Why is that loose compared to that? That shouldn't be the case. So I guess the back cover holds it, but is the screw there? Is it just the plastic's generally flimsy, or that bracket's tight, isn't it? Oh, the bracket I didn't touch, so that's not my doing if it's loose. That board's a little loose at one end, or I think it's the front panel flexing a bit. Now, what can we unplug here is going to be the next. I can probably just pull that board out of the way. Get this headphone board, if I can do it without damaging anything. I mean, maybe this deck's just made somewhere else and it's looks different because it's got older stuff in it because of that. I don't know. Oh, there's a second screw there hiding where I can't see it. Yeah, that doesn't just quite lift up. It looks like it's got some earth wires attached to the tape deck. Well, that screw's got to come out anyway. But does that free anything up at all? That goes into the heads and stuff. I think we might have to unsolder that, or at least that gets the worst of the wiring out of the way. These other ones unplug easily, I think. It's meant to anyway. Yeah, it's got one of these, I think that's the bias oscillator coil there, like a large one. It certainly looks older, this one. Do I need to cut that cable tie? I think I will. And what have we got here? A red wire just soldered on, so even though they've put plugs on everything, they haven't put on that. Oops, something's moving there. Oh, one thing I didn't do was get the record switch in the right spot. That was a bit naughty. Shit, I saw it there and then got distracted by something else. Always got to remember to get all the right bits in the right places. Now, so the heads are plugged in there. So it's got an earth and a cable clamp. Oh, it's not really a clamp, but a twist tie thing. That's those heads out. Oh, there's the middle screws. This is very similar though with the belt setup, admittedly. That belt's pretty slippery. That little one, yeah, that one takes nothing. But this is a dual motor version. I've got the pulley. Yeah, they're all getting to the point they need replacing. Oh, hang on, we've got a screw on a counter here, which is on a metal bracket to the mechs. What have I missed? Oh, I haven't done the end screw. That's a bit slack. And probably have to eject everything. So that will help. And what is holding this? What the? There's a spring. Oh, to both doors? What kind of weirdness is that? This has springs going to the doors. How do we get that off? I don't think it comes off the door easily. Where's it go? Oh, it's that thing it's hooked on where this glue is it? Oh yeah, that little piece. That is vaguely familiar actually. I've got a feeling I've seen this set up before. I think we just pull that off, and how we get it back on is going to be another, especially that one. How am I going to get that back in there? But I don't know if we can get the, can we flip the spring off? Oh, you can just flip it off sideways off the door itself. Yeah, I get a funny feeling like I've seen something like that before. And now I'm going to try and get this counter out without Maybe I should have left the circuit board out completely. Come out connector. And they do have that, so maybe this is another version of the same. It's got that angled piece. I wish I'd kept the other one out so I could see what the difference is. I don't have one of these ones out anywhere, I don't think. Yeah, it's the same style of mech. It's an Iowa, but something's a bit different on it. Maybe they just got different looking pulleys and capstan, but I could have sworn from the back the gears were different here, but maybe I'm wrong about that. God, you need to get all these together and photograph them all, I think. But that's definitely Tanashin. So I don't know if that 6851 is the mech type or anything. Be interesting if that was some correlation to a catalogue number or whatever. But it looks like this style of deck with the upright bits. And I'm pretty sure I found online that the one with the little wobbly plastic auto stop is from them as well. It's actually on their old website. So that would prove that at least two of the generic ones are theirs. But yeah, it's got quite large heads in this. It is like an earlier, bigger motors, bigger heads, but I don't know how many years were between those. It's got the small pinch rollers. One of these buttons was a bit loose, wasn't it? This has got the clip-on sort of buttons. So that is similar. Whether the buttons are anything to do with the manufacturer, yeah, these are the ones you take the two little screws out and the whole button assembly comes off. And it's got the little hook over pieces on a bar, much like the silver one did, but that doesn't really mean any relationship to that they came from the same manufacturer or anything. But at least we can give these buttons a good clean. One of these was, oh yeah, that's the one. It is loose, isn't it? Look at that. Something's broken on it, I'd say, because I think there's a clip goes in the top there, because these bits clip onto the bits that clip onto the metal part there, so I reckon that's broken. I can see a little bit in there. It wasn't uncommon for people to do stuff like that, or maybe just the plastic to go brittle. Yeah, that's definitely broken, the little mounting piece. I could probably pinch one of these other ones, but oh, this has got a double one on this play. Wonder if I steal one of them and put it on this play, and then this one might be slightly looser, but at least it's still got one good one to hold it. But how do we safely get these buttons off is the next problem. Everything you do with these is a risk of breaking something. That should pop up, I think. Oh, there we go. Because one's already broken. Is it broken or is it just bent? It's just, yeah, it is broken. You can see it's dropped down. Still there, the piece. So if you could strongly glue that in place, it'd probably be alright. But this little piece here, do I have to take the whole bar assembly off? I probably do. Ah, I broke that piece off that was already broken, so of course where else would my finger go but right there. I thought you could, it's a bit risky whether you can pop that off without pulling the whole assembly to bits. There's always some fiddly side job like this to do. There's another Phillips, will that fit those? They're very small screws. And that does just do it, I think. The, whatever brand these were, Trojan. Oh man, that is tight. Put a tiny headed screw in there and make it so tight, but maybe they put Loctite or something on there so that they don't work their way loose over time. Could be something like that. I've definitely pulled these things apart here. I can see the green stuff on the end of the screw, so that definitely had some Okay, that's a bit of a better view probably. Get these little metal screws out of there. Any of those wires want to hang on there, I might pull these ones out. Oh, they're so tight, it's amazing. I don't know how they got them in there. There we go. So this has got a double piece. Now the question is, how do I get the button easily off that? I guess we just got to prise it and hope. Because if I break another one, then I'm even in worse condition than I was to start with. That's one thing I didn't think of, is how hard it's going to be to remove. Quite difficult by the look of it. I don't know if you can prise the other end off. The problem is if you press down on those, you risk breaking it like the other one. God, that's not going to work. Well, can we pop these out one at a time? We can't really, because oh yeah, we can. I'll pop that one out a bit. It should put some pressure to pop the other one out, surely. Oh yeah, that's got them, I think. Except I don't want to be super careful. It doesn't want to let go of the upper bit. It doesn't even want to really let go of the bottom bit. I was like, I think they pop back on. No, it doesn't. No, it's definitely coming out. Oh, I can push it out. Maybe that's the key. We've got to push on the black bits versus the silver bits. It really doesn't want to come off. Why? Oop, there we go. That's one popped out. Two popped out. Oh, so they got little pieces that go up inside the button. Didn't even notice that. Just kind of prising on those, and pulling sideways. Yeah, that's got it. Put the broken one in there. And try and line everything up again. So I've got to get those bits to go up into those little holes or whatever. Push the end of them in there. So are they clipped on? I think they are. I think that's it. Oh, that ain't looking good though. I haven't got the top clipped on. Why? Ooh. Be careful, don't want to break that. Yeah, that should be fine with a broken one on it. That's a good solution right there. There's always a way to cheat when you can't get the parts anymore, but that would be one reason to have a few scrap boom boxes and stuff. You could probably find these exact parts in some of them and swap them between models. That was a good idea. I used to keep some old tape mechs lying around for that sort of purpose, but I kind of got rid of those years ago. I thought, I'm not going to be fixing a tape player ever again, but I was completely wrong about that. I certainly had no intentions of doing so. Yeah, looking a lot better. Well, that one compared to that other one's kind of almost, yeah, like a dull goldy sort of colour, versus these that are nice silver again, which is ideal on a silver boombox. You want some silver buttons. out some of that dust. And you've got to get every one of these little buttons to line up with its bit there, but first I guess we better get these cables back in, since that's the first fiddly bit. Of course that button sits right in the way of the cable. Well, they went in easy enough. Now I've got to get that at the slot. Oh, at least the play button's a double one, so that goes on easy. Hang on, I was going to say, if the play button's a double one, why has it got two things? That's because I'm in the wrong spot. Come on, pause. Ah, now we've got the fast forward and the play, and not easy to get them all in a straight line, that's for sure. Now, where does this exactly fit? That bit's going on right. This one doesn't seem to be slotting. Oh, there it is. It's slotted under, slotted under. All the buttons are in place, I think. Still a bit filthy on the face, but at least I can get to that bit. I swear that head there doesn't look right, but maybe it's just the angle I'm looking at. It's because the writing on it's stamped on an angle. I think that's what's putting me off. It looks like the head's sitting on an angle, but it's probably just the printing on it. Yeah, I was going to say that hasn't slotted in right. That's still very tight, so I don't think we need to put anything there to stop it unscrewing again. But we're doing that nice and tight to make sure. Bit of the silver stuff missing off them, unfortunately, but if I can get all the dirt off them, yeah, they're certainly not going to be mint. And cotton buds. Give it a clean. And we still got to think about some belts in this thing too. Whether I've got the right size belts is another matter. These might be those 60s or whatever they were again. If it's a similar mech, this has got two separate motors, not just the one motor. But they're probably going to be in similar positions by the look of it. At least one of the motors is in the same spot. The other one's probably a bit closer. But at least there's no obvious wear on the heads or anything. Bit of oxide on the capstan and stuff like usual, but they probably haven't done massive hours, these things. Oops. That feels a little loose. That one's the same, I think. I don't know, maybe it's something that's not like it's in play mode or anything, it's just sitting there in stop mode, but you'd hope things are reasonably tight. But as long as it all tightens up when it's in play mode, I don't think that's going to matter too much. At least pinch rolls feel nice and soft, or not too soft, but pliable. Look like they're in really good condition. So maybe they'd improve the materials by the later 80s, or maybe it's just they're just not quite old enough to deteriorate yet. I don't know what the story is, but it seems to be a lot of difference between early 80s, the condition of a lot of these things, and the later 80 ones. These decks tend to always be in really good condition. The rubber isn't deteriorating and stuff. So yeah, I don't know what the story is there. but a few years might make the difference. Maybe it's just coincidence the other ones are in bad conditions or whatever, and these weren't. Is that on? That's in place, I think. Am I right to press this thing home? I think I am. Ooh, can I even do it? Or has it already done it? No, I'm pretty sure that's... Oh no, it's in the right spot, I think. Doesn't look like it's pressed home. Yeah, that's clicked on. Definitely don't want to press it anymore then. Don't want to break it now that I've replaced it. Yeah, some of these wires didn't want to come out before, but they've worked their way out since. Oh, get in there. Come on. Still not in it, I think. That's it. And now we've got to repeat by lining all the buttons up. What's going on here? I've got a wire in one of them, for God's sake. You sons of... No, that little earth wire. Does that even need to go through there? Probably does. Did they go under the buttons or over? Overboard, look at it. Always one part of the job's really fiddly. Yeah, go through there. Come on, brown wire. They don't want to move now. Yeah, how does... Oh, this one here goes through the square hole. And of course the pause has dropped off. And this one slots under a little thing, that's it. If I can just get the screws in there before anything pops off. Those wires are pulling pretty hard on this one. That's not the right screwdriver. Trying to pull it off again, I think. That one's dropped. That's a lot of work just to fix a slightly droopy button. But at least it's fixed. Now what I really want to do, probably the toothbrush on this. This almost looks like it's got cigarette tar or something, like the way it's coloured in the dirt. It's got a coating or something on it. Looks a ton better for a clean. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so that's it out of the way. A lot of work just for that. I guess we'll have a look at these belts and see if we've actually got belts to suit. And if I remember to get that record switch. Where'd that go? Must have been that way originally. I've probably made a bit of a knot out of... Oh, that's right, we've got this other circuit board here. So that one goes, oh, we've got to undo the motors on this one, I think, to get, yeah, because the motor bracket's in the way. The other one, it's not in, what's this thing? What's this black thing? Oh, it goes down under there, yeah, that's in the way. I think we're going to have to unscrew that. So this has got quite a bit of difference. Not surprisingly. Definitely looks like an older mech, the way, just the way everything's designed in this. That AOL one had been stripped back to the sort of bare minimum which is what they tended to do over time. Why does that, is that finer head as well? Oh, it is. What a crazy design that is. Now, is there a spring on this thing? I don't think there is. Hopefully I can take the screw out and slide it out from under whatever it's under there. So that bit goes under this little metal lever. The other end slots under something down there. And it looked like, yeah, it does come out. Oop, caught on the belt. What does that even do, I wonder? I don't think I want to know. So it's something to do with the dual dubbing, maybe. I think that's what that is. Might be like a mechanical auto start of the second deck or whatever. That looks a lot like that belt I don't have, I think. Should have these little ones though, hopefully. How did I get these off? Oh no, I've caught it on something. It got me. I had to get it back on there, and then when trying to rotate it while holding it up, oops, that didn't work. Like so, that's it. And it got it in a hell of a knot. Yeah, it's the same sort of smallish belt. Might just get the pulleys a quick clean. They don't look at all dirty, but capstan seems to spin nicely. Now, see what we've got in the way of eBay belts. I reckon that's pretty close, that one. It's very close, I think that will do. Since they're not really stretched, but oh no, how did I get grease all over that? Magical white grease just appeared. I must have touched that bit or something. Coated the damn thing. Gotta be so careful. That's probably over my hands as well. Just what I don't want. I have no idea what I actually touched it on there, because unless there's something down below that it's getting on. But that's what you got to watch, because you don't want grease all over your pulleys and stuff, because that is worse than having a slightly slippery belt because it's too long. Yeah, that's fine, that's not going anywhere. I assume we need another one the same. That looks like it's getting too big. Definitely. Way too big. It's a bit smaller. I do want to hear somewhere that. Too big. I hope there is. Yeah, we've got some middle size ones there. Let's get the other one. Oh, I can't get to the other one yet. I need to find this size, which I don't think I've got. But let's look. Ooh, that's probably too big. Yeah, and that's probably too small by a fair bit. Yeah, we're back in that zone again. Probably should have left this until another belt kit turned up. Too small. And I'm pretty sure they're too big. Yeah, that's not good. We might have one for that one, because I think that's the smaller one, but this is going to have to go back in for now. I like to bunch up and do weird things, these belts. Except when you get near the motor and you want it to do that, it doesn't do it. Which I think that's a double pulley on that. Oh no, it is just a single. That's alright then, so I don't need to care about that. Bit annoying when you get these fiddly bits out of the way and then you can't change the belt, but not the end of the world. Except, where does that screwdriver go? I can't put something down and find it twice, so it's under the belts now. I see, even that's dropping down onto the belt, and probably put more grease on it. No, luckily it's not greasy there, I don't think, but close. That's the old belt. Oh, I don't probably, if I come in here again, I don't have to tighten that too tight, I guess, but still should always treat it like you're not going to come back. And what did I say with this? I've got to take the bracket off. Ah, now I've got a belt stuck to me. Yeah. So I actually take a bigger screwdriver. One there, one near the capstan. And then I'll either have a clip or another one at the top. Oh, that was a plastic one down near the capstan, so different types of screws, of course. So one near the capstan goes into plastic. The other two are identical. Oh yeah, much smaller belt. I got one that small. You gotta be kidding. It's gonna be the opposite problem. Well, no doubt it'll be another size that's completely missing. Is that one the same as the other one? Looks like it is. Now, where did I see some around that size? That is a little large, I think. Then we've got the little ones. What's that one there? That's too small, I think. That would do it in a pinch, probably. Let's see if I've got one slightly longer. That's more like what I want, I think, or is it just a bit too big? Yeah, it's just a bit too big, I think. So I'll find the next size down from that, which is, that's too small. There, that one, I reckon. That's a bit small. Oh, that's the one, I think. Yeah, that one's pretty much identical size, I think, to the original. Yeah, there, doggone. So that was an original, that was an original. They get chucked out. Oh, that's the other one I've got to find, I think, there, isn't it? Better be careful, don't mix these up. Yeah, they're all small. Yeah, I said that one was too small, didn't I? And they're all, oh, are they all bigger? Well, that one's nearly the size. Oh man, that's close. If it was just a tad smaller, I'd be there. No, that's the smallest I've got, damn. Might have a new one from Wes or somewhere there. What was I going to do? Sure there was something else I was going to do, or is that it? No, just got to find another belt. That would be a 40 something, possibly. Well, that is a 51. And it's smaller, so it is definitely a 40 something. '49's probably still too big. Yep. 49 and 51 is pretty close together. Next one's a 43, that'd be right. I think that's too small. Well, yeah, I think it is a bit. So what's the next size? I bet I've used one. 46. Son of a gun, it's another one I've used. But it's like I say, they're always the same sizes over and over again, so that's going to have to go back in as well. Oh, at least we've got the two. I think they were actually the slipperier ones, or more stretch ones, the little ones. That will go that way, I think. that on the outside or the inside of that thing? Outside it must have been, because it sits there like that. I wonder how much you could almost get away with that shorter one, I think. Probably better not to. I think I'll try and get a 46 again, or wait for the other eBay belt kit to turn up and see if it's got something like that. Yeah, that's correct. The motor definitely goes on the outside of the tape mech, because the threaded bit is on the cassette mech itself, so it's the only way it can go. Shouldn't have really tightened that right up yet until I get it, but they look like they're lining up. Plastic screw in the capstan. Make sure this other one's going to go in. Beautiful, everything lined up perfect, so that's a good bit of engineering there. I don't know why I can't get the head of the screwdriver into that one. Just a bit tight, I think. And I do need to get probably these door bits. Where did the other one look onto there? I need to get these door springs back into place. Did that just hang there, did it? Very weird design that, but I don't know if I need to glue them back. They were glued, yeah, that one just sat like so. I think, well, there's a bit of a hole there, might hold it for now. And we've got to get the tape record switch in place, and I've got to get that. I think I've got to take this other door spring off. How do you get that back on there? No, I think I'll leave that one. If that can go back on. Do I need to? I probably need to clean this hole out here a bit, don't I? Or I can probably just wipe it off with my fingers, might do. And the tape counter's fairly clean. And of course there's stuff in the way of the tape counter. It's just that wire, I think. Get that out of the way. Got a connector here. Probably need to lift the whole thing up. Doesn't feel like it's going in. I think we're in. Yeah. Oh, of course I forgot the record switch again every time. Every single time. It doesn't really want to go in there, that's the problem. Got to press the record switch to get it in. Oh no, that's, I was going to say there's a button there that hasn't gone on onto its thing, but that's just a double play button, that's alright. Worried me for a second. Now where did this other, yeah, this, of course it's gone on the tape mount. This spring, it's fallen right off the deck too, this spring that goes on the door. That's a terrible design. I don't like that one bit, because it's just asking to be trouble. I get a feeling I might have to glue that back on. That is just the sort of fiddly stuff you do not want in one of these jobs. Try a bit of quick grip on there. Let's see if we can get that to... the thing just moves around. This is the world's worst design, I think. Really poor design having these springs here. So I'll try again with that silly spring. I guess in theory I probably could, see, because it's right where the mount for the cassette decks sits. And And I probably shouldn't have moved that because it's probably moved the spring out of the glue, but no, I think it's still there. I think I can put this back together, but can I get the other one back on? Or do I have to do that first? Really poor design having these here. I'm not impressed with that, because that's the sort of thing that just makes the job go on unnecessarily long. For no gain for anyone. Part of that, I can't remember where that bracket went. I know this would have been, was that the bit on the bottom that the... I have to look on the film, I think. Oh, what, was I meant to put a clamp back there? I think I was. I think both these ones had clamps to hold the... and I forgot the damn record playback switch again with this stupid spring getting in the way. Every time I think I might just have to unscrew that. Because how did that go? Like so, I think. That's it. I'm pretty sure that slides up, pushes on that. Yeah, that should do it. So yeah, those springs have been a real pain. Yeah, this must where's the bottom of the box? It goes... Oh yes, it's right there. Oh, that's right, this was holding... Of course, I completely forgot. That's the problem with things like this stupid spring that mess you around, is you completely forget what you actually did to pull the thing to bits, because it like adds an extra day to the job. Don't tell me these have got tangled up. Possibly they have. Around this red wire here. So that earth wire goes there, that bracket goes in there. I should probably go through the board first, but that's exactly why I hate things that slow the job down, because it ends up being not just slowing it down that way, but you forget what you're doing. Whereas if I could have just assembled this on the spot, I would have remembered that, but here the next day I don't remember any of that stuff. Because why would I? Hopefully that spring's still where it should be. It's really hard to tell. Yeah, I think it's still in the glue, but let's hope so. So those wires go there, that goes back into there. Oh, I haven't put this, there's need another screw for the counter. Better make sure that has definitely come through the front and everything. Yep. Guess it wouldn't go in if it hadn't, but at least if I can get this thing back together, that'll be a good start. Then we can plug the heads back in. And where do all these other connections go? I can't even remember, but I think I'm going to have to unsolder something here because this is all tangled up a bit. Go back in there. come on. Missed the hole completely. That's not a real good design either, but some manufacturers didn't really have the knack of doing it nicely, but I guess it gets the job done, but only just. Something isn't sitting right, I don't think. Or is that how it sits? That's how it sits, just on a bit of an angle, so that's okay. I thought it was sitting wrong, but this board sits on an angle by the look of it. I think I still got to put a screw up there somewhere. Yeah, and the other end. Now maybe with that spring jammed in there, it doesn't have much choice of going on. Anyway, I hope, but let's hope I can actually get it out. In theory, I should be able to actually install it now, even with the glue drying, as long as it doesn't fall off. So maybe that was just the key to put that one on already. Just gotta be super careful. Ooh. Ah, you son of a... I think we might be able to... Ah, now of course it's got this stabby end on it that wants to stab me in the finger. Because it's pulling back that way, but it's the only place I can really hold it, I think, to get it on. I did it. Yeah, that's a horrible little design, that one. Not a fan. Door opens alright, slowly but there. And now these were originally, I could probably poke that back under, tied up in all this stuff. Oh, it must be these connectors over here, I can see it because I know they were cable tied to that bit. This one goes, must be this one up here, because I have pretty much zero memory. And then there's this earth. Now where did that go to? That probably, yeah, it did go to the tape deck. I think it was under that screw or somewhere else. I can't remember now. Oh, did it go to this metal? No, this metal broke. It's got an earth on it. Let's get the rest of these back in place. I might have to unsolder something. They were up in here somewhere, tied up with that. And yeah, it's mainly just this black wire. It goes down the deck, it came up here. I haven't even put that screw right in by the look of it. Maybe it probably went to there, did it? But then it's getting close to that capstan. I reckon it went under this end screw, but I might have to check the video footage to prove the point. But it actually comes from part of the same mech, but I guess that would make sense to go there, as long as it's out of the way of everything. And then onto this metal covering of these mic sockets. And I guess I should put some sort of cable tie back around there, just to keep things together. I don't think they're going anywhere, but I'm not going to touch the decks or anything, but still, keep it original, or fairly. I screwed that back down, didn't I? That's in, everything's together, record switch. paper towel, because I've got to do the tops of the doors and see if, I don't think it'll make any difference to the white stuff on the plastic, but I've got to clean the insides just to see if it makes any difference. But I think that's sun damage. But yeah, doors look exactly the same as far as the milky plastic. Ah, that's got greasy stuff all over it. Yuck. But it's again in fairly good condition. Much like the AO one, not too many scratches or anything on it. Looks much better with those buttons back to silver. Headphones, like it's actually got a heap of dirt in it, so I might put a cotton bud down there. Just clean that out a bit. Even the mic sockets. Yeah, it's looking quite good. I guess we better see if we've actually managed to fix our pots and stuff before I'll take the other bit outside, I think, and clean it up. Where did the power go? Up here. Okay. Yeah, we can't really connect to this without putting it back in its box. Of course, as soon as I lift it, it comes out again. I'll hook up the original speakers just so we get them a test as well. And I guess we better have a look inside one of them speakers. Oh, really, cable? And power. Still a little scratchy. Balance seems okay though. That's alright now. Yeah, that milkiness does ruin the look of it a little bit, which is a shame. So on FM, radio. Oh, that's another problem I completely forgot about, is the VU meters don't work properly. Oh, that one doesn't. Yeah, it's a bit over the top, that graphic equalizer. Yeah, let's see if they actually work before I put a tape in, of course. That's what I recorded the other day. Ooh, why have I got no rewind? Or is that deck not running? No, it's going. What the hell? Or is that... Huh, weird. So 2 green LEDs, the -10 and 0 ones aren't working, but everything else works on that VU. Yeah, the rewind does not work. Fast forward, no rewind. Interesting. Now, I guess we better try another recording. I guess we can go to the radio again. No, that's the wrong one. I should have hit reset on the counter, I guess. That's what they're there for. Tape. Now that one doesn't rewind. Oh, it does now. What the? Then paste a look at the counter. Oh, nothing. We've got erase, but no. That'll be right. Actually, turn dubbing off might help. Normal tape. I still don't know what RIS is. I guess we should. Makes a clicking sound. Can we start it up for real? 'Cause I could be two nights at the place we started. Record lights on. Well, obviously if it erased. Could be something to do with that dubbing setting. Oh, there it is. Not very good, but it's there. Yep, so the record works. I must admit it didn't sound the best. Bit low in level maybe. So what's this RIS thing? Oh, we got that wide stereo mode. So I'm going to go to switch this to the tuning battery. Well, I didn't have that one originally, but this lower meter basically lights up to show the battery level, which of course will be full on mains, but we're missing 2 LEDs. Off, we can turn it totally off. Level is your level indicator, of course. And yeah, we've got 2 LEDs out, so I hope it's not the LEDs that have failed, because they're weird ones, but we might be able to put something else in their place, or it could be whatever drives them. I'm not sure if it's got a chip or just transistors, but that needs to be fixed. So stereo wide and normal. Not a massive difference, but there is a bit. So on normal, yeah, dubbing off I think is what I needed to do to get the radio through to be recorded. And yeah, with this, let's have a look at this tape deck. I'll unplug the speakers. Let's have a look at the decks, because yeah, the rewind did not seem to be operating properly. One deck did it sometimes and not other times, but right at the beginning of the tape, it's just slipping belts, I think. So it shows those belts are kaput. The motor's going by the sound of it. Let's just double check. Yeah, and the capstan isn't, so it's just the belt slipping by the look of it. So it's another problem with this unit that wasn't mentioned, a supposedly working one. So the belts definitely need a replacement if we're going to get everything functioning. And there's our LED board. Oh, that's right, that came off as part of the whole radio thing. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Should have done it while I had the radio board out. Now, I wonder where they get fed from. Because we've got dual. Oh yeah, there's the. It looks like the board. Oh yeah, there's a chip down there maybe. Is that AN chip feeding it? I can see some links. Well, that's at least part of the LEDs, I guess. Or is that both of them? Oh, that's the whole lot on that board. Oh, wait, what's... Can't see where the second set are soldered in. I can see one row. Oh, they're up there. Okay, yeah, got you. So that goes into this cassette board, right where there's a little AN6 something. AN6884, I think that is. Only the one of them, so whether that drives the chips or not, I mean, it might be a 10 LED driver or whatever, and they've used it for 2 channels or a dual 5 drive or something like that, but I guess we probably should pull it to bits again and check the LEDs. It could just be faulty LEDs. I haven't really seen that type before in my life, I don't think, so they could be cheapo ones that didn't last. Could be something as simple as a dry joint or something, but I doubt it, but you never know, being a portable device. Or it could be, you know, very unlikely if it's an AN chip driving it, they virtually never fail. Especially not just driving a few LEDs. Now what if I unscrew it? Oh, there's another one down the end. Yeah, I did notice that about this when I initially checked it. I thought it supposedly works, but luckily I didn't pay them what they're asking for it, because I would have probably took it back if I had. Because they were asking pretty top dollar for this thing as working. And even just having those LED meters not working it makes it a bit of a rip-off, to say the least. Oh, there's a heap of joints or links going up to the other board, so I guess it's possible we could have dry joints on any of those. Problem is you can't see anything because of this plastic in the way. Let's see if we can maybe run it like that. So it's these 2 LEDs here that have failed. Not the world's best looking soldering, but they're all like that, so I guess first check will be to get the, I might even pull that tape head thing out, get the multimeter onto that, see if we've got a forward voltage drop on diode test. That's better. Let's see, that's a good one there, and I don't know which way around they are either. 1.7 sounds about right to me. 1.7, so I think they are working. Assuming we're not measuring some spurious other thing. So it seems to be the forward direction. So there's a fair chance that's in working order. They're all on a common rail. What on earth is going on there? Almost looks like it's been soldered to this one, but whether it should be or not, that is some messy looking soldering right there. Yeah, that one's moved across here. They've like bridged parts of the tracks or something. Oh, hang on, that looks like they're in parallel. Oh no, wait, I'm looking at the wrong thing. That's the... No, it's this track here. That's the common side of the other one. Oh no, it's not. That's the common side. That seems to go to the common of... No idea what's going on there. They all seem to be joined together, but then they've got what looks like a common on the other side. It mustn't be connected to them though. Oh no, it looks like the board comes around. Yeah, these tracks are a bit deceptive. So that comes to that second pin, which goes down there. So it's this line here. And on, I assume, goes into that chip. Can I see anything to do with that chip? Of course, that board's... Can we take this board? Oh, we can. This doesn't, thankfully, doesn't have the radio on it, does it? So that's alright. Because because that dial cord kind of locks the radio into place but doesn't lock this board in. Now, are they screwed to that? No, they're not. They're just sitting there. So that's, well, that is something that can probably move around a bit, so it may well have a dry joint on it. It's got to be the most likely thing at this stage if the LED hasn't failed. Now, what on earth holds all this together? Still feels like I've missed something. That's not linked to the other board, is it? Where's the screw? It's got to be one here somewhere. Might unplug a few more things. Come on, connector. Jesus. Oh, God, they are tight. Oh, what? We've got some one of these twisted over things here. And that's just some packing, shielding on the back of the board. I guess since it's jammed up against that other board, they had to do that. I guess something on the front is holding it, maybe. And it's just, it's coming slowly, very slowly. It's got some double-sided tape. We've got another connector here in the way, and another one there. Well, that unplugs. That unplugs. So yes, all this unplugs. Does that unplug from the radio? It does. At least they put connectors on everything. I do like that about it. Makes up for their dodgy springs a bit. Okay. Whoa. Everything's escaping. Oh yeah, dry. Oh man, I don't know how only 2 of those LEDs are faulty. That's the worst dry joints I've seen in a long time. Now maybe I've made them worse, but that is absolutely dry as. So that's a good sign. Hopefully the camera gets that. Hopefully the audio is still working. But these are the link wires on the other side that come from 3, they're little groups of 3, and these connections are just loose as. Completely dry. I thought it'd be something like that because semiconductors are normally pretty reliable. Hopefully the camera picks that up, but that set in particular, the middle one of that one, they're starting to go. But yeah, very much had their day. So I thought it'd be something reasonably easy, but the LEDs weren't out of the realms of possibility, because sometimes you do find dodgy LEDs and things. It's amazing how well they made them even in some of these cheaper units. So it goes to show they did a very good job back then, even on what we considered to be some of the cheaper equipment. And that was kind of what's disappointing about some of the newer stuff, that if they could do that in Taiwan or Hong Kong or whatever back then, why can't they make stuff like that now? That is, you know, maybe cheapo, but not that bad. Not complete junk. It's not like humans haven't had decades of practice at this stuff. But admittedly, that board being mounted like that is probably not the best idea. That should have been screwed down, I guess, ideally. And a couple of these don't look 100%, but I don't think they're any real issue. And yeah, this, I think that, is that the chip there, or is it the other little row of pins? Oh, there's 2 of them. There are 2 chips in there. How did I miss one of those? So that's 2 AN, whatever I said they were, 688 somethings. These switches over here, a couple of joints looking a bit iffy on those. Pays to check these things while you're in here and got the board out. Anything that customers can access and gets vibrated and moved around and stuff, or moved around just when the case is moving around, like the ghetto bastards being walked around the place, put up and down, whatever, that's the sort of thing that'll potentially get dry joints on it. Okay, so that's good. That should be it. I might check, oh actually the other side of those links I can see a couple that are not the best. Where did my solder go? So it probably won't hurt to resolder most of them as well, because they've been subject to the same amount of vibration and stuff, most likely, or a very similar amount. Yeah, that middle one there is dry. I think we can call that a proper dry joint. But yeah, if they were anything like that before I disassembled it, then it's a wonder there weren't a lot more LEDs out. Cassette player keeps trying to pull the board back. So where it goes, it must be where it goes. Here they came up there. So look, oh, they were meant to have screws in there. I don't think I took any screws out of those, did I? Or were the screws in that part of the mech? Maybe there were, I can't remember now. Maybe a couple of screws I took out did go, it looks like they would go through the circuit board and hold those displays in place, so maybe I'm wrong about that. They did actually screw them in. I'll have to look when I put it back. Oh no, they don't come right through, do they? No. I suspect someone failed to put some screws in there by the look of it. I might add a couple even. Where'd the other screw of this board go? There. Is that all there was? Does that go? Oh, it's a 4-way. So I was going to say it doesn't. Oh, it faces the wrong way. That's why, because it goes there. It's hard to tell with some of these connectors sometimes. That one, that's another 3-way. 4-way's probably sitting down under there somewhere, isn't it? Ah, so tight. That one went to the radio. Just about create dry joints on these, I think, because you need to use so much force on them. I guess that went through there somewhere, did it? That's a 4-way. That's a 4-way. Maybe that's the one that went there. It must be. And these went over to these two. I think that's it. I'm just going to plug those heads back in once I get it closer to where it goes. Maybe I did take screws out of down there. I still suspect I might have asked, so this has got to be routed away from the record playback switch, which of course we've got to get back into place before I put the board in, because I'm bound to forget it again. It always seems to spin around to where you don't want it. No, actually I think I've taken screws out of that LED board thinking they were holding the board in, and they don't. So I've discovered something new there. They didn't need to, so it's just the two end ones and the two top ones. So they were actually screwed in, they did that right. But we still got dry joints just from the, I guess, the board itself flexing relative to that LED board. Yeah, so there's no need to undo those two screws. It's just, like I say, these top two and the two end ones, that doesn't feel like it's going in right. The problem is all the switches are pushing this bit back up as I try and screw it on. Something there doesn't seem right. Oh yeah, the power switch hadn't gone in. I think it's the power switch. Hadn't gone through the hole in the front, so that's why you never tighten up your screws until you know why they won't go in, because you'll break something if you're not careful. Now record switch is in place. Just double check that. And that should solve our VU meter issue. And then it's just a matter of, I need belts, which I was going to do anyway, but they definitely are faulty. And that's always the kind of place to try it, right at one end of the tape. Try rewind and fast forward at the end and see if it manages to do that, because that's usually when there's the most tension or most drag on it, friction, whatever. Needs the most torque to do it. Yeah, I didn't put that earth mount lug in the right spot really down there. It's catching on the case a bit. Poke that right round a bit and make sure they can't touch the capstan or get in the way of the button, levers or anything. Oh, come on. That's it, I think. Let's see what we get. That antenna's going to get broken if I'm not careful. Having to do all this fiddling around so the camera can see things. Battery tuning. Oh yeah, the bottom ones are all lit. Yep, looking good. So LEDs are working again. That's basically it, besides the belts, I think. And a bit of a clean-up. So I've given it all, got all the dust out of it, screwed it back together, the main unit. I did give it a quick wipe over, but there's quite a bit of greasy stuff on the top and probably the remains of a label or something there. But it shows why you shouldn't really pay much money for these things if they haven't been properly serviced, because this one needs new belts. So it's got intermittent sort of chewing, it's got rewind and fast forward that don't work very well. We had some LEDs out and more almost out. Scratchy controls, and actually this front still needs a bit of a clean, so there's quite a bit of stuff wants doing to them, especially the belts. If they haven't had the belts replaced in them, I mean the money people are asking for a lot of these things is just ridiculous, which I just refuse to pay it. A lot of the stupid prices people are asking because it hasn't been serviced, it's going to have faults no matter how much they say it works. With a quick, 2-minute test of, oh, that tape seems to play, that tape plays, the radio comes on, it's a worker. And it's just all BS basically. I know from years of fixing electronic stuff that I've never bought something that is supposedly working that is what you would call saleable condition. If you're going to put any sort of warranty or anything on it, you've always got to do something to everything. Everything needs, even colour televisions and stuff need some basic servicing normally, and going over for dry joints and whatever before they're what I would call a saleable item, and they always seem to have some, at least some adjustment needs doing or something. But with something like a tape deck, yeah, it's going to have knackered belts more than likely when they're this sort of age. It is really a testament to them that these later 80 ones are still, the belts still work at all. But I did like the look of this one. It's more of a substantial sort of box, not just a little one. So I bought it even though I knew it would need this stuff doing, but for me it's no big deal to do it. But if you're not someone who's technically minded, you're going to get ripped off on these things more than likely. I don't think there's any such thing as a works perfectly 80s boombox if it's still in original condition. I'd say at least should have had the tape deck serviced, even if it's just a clean and new belts, because otherwise they are going to chew tapes and stuff, or not fully rewind or whatever. I guess you could ideally give them a test in the shop or whatever and show them that it's got a few problems. Like, yeah, if you go to the end of a tape and try rewinding or something, there's bound to play up. But it also can be your luck that it doesn't play up in the shop and you pay for it, and then as soon as you get it home, it eats your tape or something. that's just how it works sometimes, unfortunately. But yeah, anyone paying top dollars for a non-serviced one is crazy, really. Maybe you really got to have it. But, you know, on principle, shouldn't be paying silly money for stuff that hasn't been serviced properly. But I guess at least this thing didn't go in the e-waste or something. That's one good thing I can say about it. I'd still prefer that I got it for the price I did pay for it than not at all in some ways. Because these are the kind of boomboxes I like. The later 80s ones. Even though some of these are a bit cheaper than the... especially this silver brand were not the greatest ones, but they worked alright back in the day. You know, for what they were, though, I think they were reasonably priced, these ones. And they did the job, and they, you know, the proof is that it's still working largely even now. Though I suspect the record isn't the best quality on it. Even though the decks seem to play alright, both of them. God, this has been in the kitchen or something, I think. Because it's got some grease on it. But we might just have a quick look in the speakers again since I've been doing that. Because I like to see what's inside things. Because why not? Oops, we're getting wires wrapped up everywhere here. So this has got some little wire holders on the back, which is good to see. Reasonable length wire, so you can, what's that, a metre and a bit over a metre. So you can put them far away. Of course, heap of dust on the back like usual. I'll turn the power off since I've still got that plugged into the amp. You don't want to risk shorting your amp chip out. So we might as well have a look what's inside these things. They look like semi-decent speakers. Like I say, it's the first one I think we've seen without a piezo tweeter in it. And, you know, it probably doesn't make a lot of difference, but I mean, that AOL with the piezo in it did do some very nice highs. I'm normally not a fan of piezo tweeters, but they can do the job. I wouldn't use them in a proper hi-fi system, but just to show they can sound okay. Does that move or what? We're kind of jammed here, but look at it without much cable length. No, it's glued a bit or something. Whoops, what have I knocked off here? Bit of foam. Get all those screws out. Well, I'm disappointed this one hasn't got wood in it, it's got a piece of metal. So it goes to show these louder boxes, I guess to stop them, I bet they would vibrate otherwise. They've got a bit of bracing in there, which is good to see. No damping or anything. We've got a 4 ohm tweeter, 4 ohm woofer, it doesn't say anything else about it. Does it need a clean? I mean, it's bound to need a clean, isn't it? But oh yes, there's a knot in the cable, so it should have come loose. Let's have a quick look at it. But it sounds like quite a loud box. I haven't given it a really good playback test yet, so I'll have a better listen in a minute. Something's sticking a bit. Never like it when yes, a bit of the cardboard's ripped off. Quite faded, it turns out they are. Don't think they should be that light in the cone. Oh, there's a ton of dust in there. Absolutely disgusting. You can barely see that through the grill, which is good. So these grills are quite effective because you can't see the dust. I wouldn't really know that's in there. So that's a good design, I'll give them that much. Let's just take this tweeter off so I can get it out of the way. It's actually got a capacitor to block the low frequency to the tweeter. Probably need that, I guess, with any sort of cone speaker. Piezos don't care because they just can't deal with low frequency anyway. It's not sealed in the back. Not fully anyway, they've half sealed it and then left half of it open, which is a bit dodgy. Oh yeah, heaps of dust in the tweeter outlet as well, or tweeter hole. I guess it's an outlet in a way. Also got written in a two-way speaker written in there. At least they're more honest than the AOA in a way, because They make it obvious it's just a two-way speaker. Whereas the AOA pretended it was a three-way. Even though I think most people knew in those days that half these things were fake. Sometimes the tweeters were fake as well. So unless it specifically said somewhere three-way speaker, you didn't go by looks, even though it probably helped on the sales room floor a bit, or maybe it was just to make it look more impressive to your friends after you bought it or something. It's like, I think this one's trying to be impressive with the amount of switches on the front of it. And of course half the graphic equalizer is basically fake as well, because they're all double knobs on a single pot. Even though, like I say, they are kind of correct, because you are changing two channels at once, but they're not independent parts. But all part of the fun of the way they did things in those days, and still do, really, don't they? Still like to make deceptive things. Probably not so much these days because they don't need to, because electronics is so cheap. But back then it wasn't so cheap. Every little part costs money. But it looks like a half decent speaker. The woofer, so even though it doesn't tell you anything about it brand wise or wattage rating, if it handles the output of that amp chip, it must be semi decent. But we'll crank it up and see how much it distorts and stuff. It's bound to distort at the highest volume like they usually do, or rattle in the box or something. Sometimes the distortion is just the amp, and sometimes it's the lack of power to the amp. Sometimes it's the speakers contributing because they just can't handle it. Even though they won't burn out, they don't sound very good. So what's that lump of foam? Is that just between the woofer and the... So that probably is actually important to put that back in there. It's not sticky at all, because I reckon that I'll just have to put a block of glue on it and try and shove it back together, because I reckon that stops the metal vibrating potentially if it's jammed or physically sort of squashed onto the woofer magnet. It can't really vibrate against it or within the box. So I reckon that is probably important to replace. I should be able to just put that in and squeeze them all together, and it should stay there hopefully. If it's doing its job, it should be held in place by the speaker. But you sort of think, oh, I'll just chuck that away, but then you probably shouldn't, because at higher volumes, when the bass is really pumping, that may... There's the potential for some sort of vibration or resonance or whatever in that metal bracket. If the manufacturer put it in there and went to the trouble, then it must do something of value, because they certainly wouldn't have bothered if they didn't have to. Because it all costs money on the production line that could be going in the manager's pocket instead, or the owner's pocket, or someone's pocket. I think we're running out of video card. As per usual, there's always the battery or the card or something running out. Now I need to get the back of this cleaned up, because that is disgusting. Even though it's just a bit of harmless dust really, but still looks terrible. Dust everywhere like usual. Something spilled on it. Cobwebs and everything. That really needs a proper clean on the side. I'll just give it a quick flick out with a toothbrush, I think, get rid of the worst of it. Because yeah, that's the end that goes on the unit. Usually best to keep those slots clean as well, because if you get any gritty stuff in these things, it'll make it hard to get the speaker on and off, and start grinding the plastic away a bit. So plenty of muck coming off this thing. And yeah, always nice when they allow you to wrap the cable up a bit so it's not hanging off the back of the box everywhere. Give that side of the box a quick clean. How far down do you go before it starts locking on? It's got him. It'll be a bit tricky to do. I should have a ton better with that cleaned off. Oops. Yeah, I don't know if it looks much different to what it originally was. Certainly those buttons are now silver. They were kind of a off silvery, almost goldy colour. Oops, I've got the little strip under the speaker there. It's in pretty good condition. There's some scratches on the door and just generally on the plastic surfaces. Of course, we've got this milkiness in them, which is really annoying. That doesn't look too good. The radio dial, the counter and the doors are all got it. If you could find another unit, I guess you could peel these bits off the door and swap it over. Most of these things will peel off. Or if you've got a good cabinet, I guess you could just swap the whole lot or swap the doors. But I haven't even seen this model before that I know of anyway. Okay, power on. I didn't even see a tiny little power light. All the other lights are quite big, but not those ones.
Feel like a ride. Saddle up with me, Carol. Thursday, 2 to 5 p.m. Country, bush ballads and good old future. Some love songs. All on Saddle Up every Thursday, 2 to 5 p.m. on 95.3 Huon FM and 98.5 Kingston FM. See you then.
That's why it sounds terrible. Sounds terrible because all the equaliser pots are at 0. Got Dolby, normal. Dubbing off, I guess, for now. I still don't know what RIS is. RIS. I don't think I noticed any difference on anything. The other thing I was just going to check is there anything... If we go to dubbing, normal... Oh, gonna need to tape it in there. Does it have that auto pause thing or anything? No, that just starts running. So it doesn't look like it's got any special features for the dubbing. That head actually does have a bit of wear, I think, looking at it. So this may have had a bit of use on the tape decks. And what else can we do? I guess we can play a tape and see if we get anything on RIS. As long as it doesn't chew it again. Yep, definitely distorts. Certainly doesn't sound as good as the AOR. That deck sounds better than the other one, so we've probably got something a little out on that one. I'll just give it an extra clean to make sure I got it right. And we could have some headwear. It certainly has a bit of a... I guess the record deck would have got more use than the play deck. Assuming people recorded stuff off the radio or whatever. If you were dubbing, they'd get the same use, I guess. You can just run your fingernail across the head, and if there's a little, much like a brake disc on a car or something, if there's little higher bits on the edges, that's your wear, and that definitely has a bit of a lip on it. That one has a slight one too. Some of these heads I think may have had a little bit to start with, but Right, so we've got a bit of wear here. And the only other thing I could do is maybe adjust the... Can I adjust the head azimuth? It's got a hole there, but can we access it? Just because there's a hole doesn't mean you can get a screwdriver in there to do anything. I'll find a screwdriver of suitable length to do it. Where's that hole gone? Where are you? It's got to be quite long. Oh, I'm barely in there at all. Where's that little Phillips? That might make it, but I wouldn't count on it. Actually, the hole's way too small as per usual, and you need something even longer than that. So that is the problem with these things. You really need to do it with the decks out. Let's have a listen again. That's the wide mode. RIS still doesn't seem to do anything. It's got to be something to do with the tapes. Your Dolby dubbing tape selector. It's not a music search thing or something, is it? I don't think this has the capacity to do both at once. It's only a Tanashin mix. I don't think they had any features like that. Nope. Didn't sound too happy about it. Chances are the heads won't have moved as far as azimuth anyway. It's probably more likely actual wear on them. It can detect the magnetic screwdriver rather well. I think for the moment I might leave that. It's something else I can put on the list of things to do when I put a new set of belts in it. I might try and tweak that while it's out to almost get me to the point where I wouldn't mind getting new heads for some of these decks. I'll have to see if Wagner and that still sell them. Oh yeah, I can see the dust in that one now. Now that I've cleaned that one out, you can see the difference. I might have to pull that speaker to bits, I think, and give that a quick clean. But that's got it running for the moment. We've got the LEDs working again. Giving it a basic service, but it does need new belts in this thing. A lot of noise there. Can you notice it on wide? I think you can. Makes a noise out of that speaker, that RIS switch, so I'll have to see if I can find out what RIS was. If it was RMS or something like something music search. High speed dubbing, automatic continuous play, high speed dubbing, continuous play. Nothing here to tell us anything, I don't think. The fact it's in with the other tape function switches, trying to make it look like a separate component thing or whatever. You'd assume it's got something to do with the tape. So I'll give that speaker a clean and then I'll get some belts on order, or wait and see if that... Better check whether I did actually order one from eBay. I might wait till that kit turns up. If that doesn't work, I'll get some from Wagner. I know what length they are now. And yeah, I think it's worth giving that a quick tweak, but yeah, I might actually find out if we can get new heads still. Because I actually wouldn't mind putting a new head in something like this. It's probably worth it. Depending on what they cost these days, I guess, but it certainly wouldn't hurt to put a new cassette head in something like this and just see if it makes much difference. But feeling that, I think this has got a bit of wear. It's more likely to be wear than actual azimuth problems, and I think there was another time, I had one tape deck, I think the resistance was high on one of the heads. There's a couple of them don't sound the best, that maybe a new head would improve them, because they do wear away with time, or do have other things go wrong with them occasionally. But anyway, that'll get this one going for the moment, so thanks for watching.